Welcome to the City of Bakersfield Planning Commission meeting. This television broadcast is brought to you by the local cable companies, the County of Kern, and the City of Bakersfield. You can watch the rebroadcast of this meeting Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 10 a.m. The agenda for this meeting can be downloaded at www.bakersfieldcity.us. Presiding over this evening's meeting, Chair Daniel Cater.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to call to order the June 1st, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Cater.
Here.
Vice Chair Bashir Tash.
Here.
Commissioner Biddle. Here. Commissioner Kaur. Here. Commissioner Coleman.
Here.
Commissioner Lomas. Here. Commissioner Neal. Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending tonight's Planning Commission meeting. This commission provides an opportunity for public participation in the development process throughout the city of Bakersfield. The Planning Commission considers a wide variety of projects, including subdivision maps, zone changes, general plan amendments, and more. When applications are received, the City Planning Division analyzes the request. Planning staff will present the facts about the project along with their recommendation to the Planning Commission, who will approve the item or make a recommendation as appropriate. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 3A, public statements.
Does anyone in the audience wish to address the commission regarding items listed on tonight's agenda? If so, please come to the, come forward, state your name, and proceed. And also, please note that the commission cannot take action on their comment unless the item is asked to be moved to the public hearing portion of the agenda. Please give your comment.
My comment is on item 5A. My name is Edward S. Robinson. I'm an Army infantry veteran and community social worker that serves members of a protected class under the Civil Rights Act in Kern County. I would like to suggest a perspective for your consideration and the impact that your vote today may have on the taxpayers of the city of Bakersfield, the environment, and the unsheltered residents of the city of Bakersfield. The Bakersfield Planning Commission approved the revised vesting tentative tract map on September 7, 2006, according to the project background and timeline included in this agenda item staff report. Upon conducting further analysis, I've noticed that the timeline does not reflect any progress on the revised maps or the project. I'm concerned that the compensable and pensionable time of the city staff, which is arguably funded by tax dollars, are not being adequately regarded as priority, considering 6 of the 13 strategic goals of the Bakersfield City Council are to address homelessness, maintain fiscal solvency, enhance quality of life and public amenities, strengthen and diversify our economic base, enhance infrastructure and promote community pride, image, and excellent customer service. Prior to the notice of exemption dated for June 2nd, 2023, which is tomorrow, there was no exemption on file. The memo justifies the exemption pursuant to section 15061, subsection B3, under the common sense exemption because the project will not affect the environment. However, I contend that the further delay on 100 gross acres that are intended to consist of single-family residents does impact the environment amidst a recent decision by council to impose the water tax, a need for housing as we recover from the pandemic, and support our unsheltered population with affordable housing. We need solutions, and we need them now. What assurances do we have that the applicant and owner will prioritize the city of Bakersfield with yet another extension? Thank you.
Thank you.
Non-agenda item 3B, public statements.
Does anyone in the audience wish to address the commission regarding items not listed on tonight's agenda? If so, please come forward and state your name. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 4, consent calendar items.
All matters listed under consent items do not require a public hearing and will be enacted by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of said items unless staff or a commissioner requests specific items be discussed and/or removed for separate action. May I get a motion approving the consent items?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Biddle, may I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Kaur. Commissioners, please cast your votes.
Motion passes with Bashir Tash and Lomas abstaining.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 5, consent public hearings.
Now is the time for consent public hearing items. Please note if the item is not removed by a commissioner, staff, or member of the public, the commission will vote on all items in one motion without further comment. If an item is removed, it will be placed at the end of the non-consent public hearing items. At this time, I will open all of the consent public hearing items. A question for city staff. If a commissioner has a conflict, do we state that now or after we close the hearing?
At this point, you want to just mention whether anyone wants to pull any items,
Okay.
and then before you go for the motion, you state
Who's abstaining? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. My apologies. I feel like
No
it's
problem.
been a while since we've all been together. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what happened the last 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been a year. Yeah. Sorry. So again, at this time, I will open all of the consent public hearing items. Does any member of the public wish to remove a consent public hearing item? Please state what agenda item you'd like to move to the public hearing portion of the agenda.
Yes, consent items 5A, 5B, and 5C. I would like to request to remove from the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my name is Edward Robinson. Sorry.
Thank you for stating your name. Yes. All right. Are there any other members of the public wishing to remove a consent public hearing item? Does any commissioner or staff wish to remove a consent public hearing item not already moved from the consent public hearings? Seeing no additional commissioners, I would like to request that item 5E be moved to the public hearing portion of the agenda. And then at this time, the consent public hearing item 5D is now closed. I will also note at this time that Commissioner Lomas has a, not yet? Not till we move it? Okay, well then, something to look forward to in the next section. Yeah. May I get a motion to adopt staff's recommendation on the consent public hearing item 5D?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Bashir Tash. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Biddle. Commissioners, please cast your votes.
Motion 5D passes, and with items 5A, B, C, and E being removed from consent.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 6, there are no non-consent public hearing items.
There are actually
Well,
4.
now, actually, we do have some, because now they were moved.
Agenda item 6, non-consent public hearing items.
Please bear with me for a moment while I receive the script for the public hearing portion of the agenda. Thank you. Now is the time for non-consent public hearing items pulled from that portion of the agenda. Or now is the time for non-consent public hearing items. Tonight we have 4 items pulled from the consent calendar, but before we begin, I'd like to explain how each hearing will be conducted. Staff will first provide a report, and then those in favor of the project will be allowed to speak. Those in opposition to the project will be able to speak after all those in favor have spoken. Each side will be given a 5-minute total time to provide rebuttal comments. Individual speakers may ask questions during the statements, but the questions will not be answered until the public hearing on that item is closed. If preferred, written comments may be given to the clerk, who will provide copies to the commission. Please remember to be respectful of others participating in the hearing, and please do not repeat the remarks of previous speakers and present any new comments or thoughts in a concise and clear way. Mr. Johnson, would you please provide us your staff report on item 5A?
Yes, thank you. I would ask that Principal Planner Jenny Ng, she'll come and present items 5A, 5B, and 5C, the extensions of time.
Good evening. Item extension of time, vesting tentative track 6873 is located at the northeast corner of Gosford Road and McCutcheon Road. This is a request for a 3-year extension of time to allow additional time to record final maps. This request represents the last extension of time available for this tentative map. It consists of 352 single-family lots, sump, landscape lots, a park lot, and an off-site drill island. Lot sizes for the residential lots are typically 55 feet wide by 120 feet deep, which is 6,050 square feet. This map was originally approved by the Planning Commission on October 5th, 2006. During the economic turndown and recession, state legislature approved several automatic extensions of time that have been applied to this tentative map. On September 6, 2018, the Planning Commission approved the first 3-year extension of time for this map. And phase 2 of this map recorded on September 27th, 2022, and that phase consisted of 82 lots on 20 acres. As of today, staff has not received any public comment, and so staff is recommending approval of the extension time with no changes to the original conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Commissioner Cater and Commissioners, my name is Blaine Neptune. I'm with McIntosh and Associates. I'm the civil engineer on the project. All the improvement plans have been approved for several years. Construction on the project started about 1.5 years ago through delays with what happened with COVID, with infrastructure and materials. It has taken probably 12 months longer to finish. The first phase, phase 2, as Jenny Ng had stated, has recorded, and actually LGI Homes, who's the home builder, has started and put in their first 12 permits and are starting to go vertical. So the streets are done, the maps recorded, and construction permits have begun, and it's going to continue to develop throughout the next several years.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing no additional speakers in favor, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Hello, my name is Edward Robinson. I'm a U.S. Army infantry veteran and a community social worker. I would like to speak in opposition to the extension of time. This project has arguably seen no progress despite the legislative extension that was provided, and they started years ago. I believe that when you consider the cost, which was once at one point, I mean, I guess it was covered by ARPA funds, you know, we had that relief But then even when you consider as fiduciaries in your role, you're commissioners, but you're somewhat of fiduciaries. Let's think about the expenditure of staff time that's going to be allocated to processing this and paying attention to this proposal here. We've seen no progress. I think that it's time to move forward with some people who are prepared to produce tangible results. So I'm not in favor of moving forward with this extension. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the project? If so, please come to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Does any commissioner have questions for the public or staff on this item? Remember, this is not the time to state opinions, only to ask questions. Commissioner Neal.
Okay, my questions for staff is, what's the density on this project? Would that be 3.52 homes per acre?
That's correct.
Okay. And also, can you give me, it's mentioned in the staff report, but the specific code for the 3-year extensions in the municipal code is not actually cited, the code number. Can you give me that code number for the extensions?
It's city council policy to generally approve these in 2 3-year blocks for a total of 6 years. There is no city ordinance that mandates that.
Oh, okay. So
I would clarify, though, there is a Subdivision Map Act code number that we rely on.
for for 2 3-year extensions, what does the map app say?
66452.6 subsection E, as an elephant.
664.
52.6 subsection E.
Okay. And that section states that it's mandatory or that it's discretionary to grant 2 3-year extensions.
That it's discretionary.
Discretionary.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Okay, that answers my questions.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioner questions? Commissioner Biddle.
Just to clarify, if something like this was to be denied, what exactly does that do to the project?
They would have to come in for a new map to be approved, and it would be go in front of your commission for a new map with either a new design or the same design. That would be at your discretion.
Any other commissioner questions? Seeing none. As we have both speakers in favor and opposition, we will now move into a period of rebuttal. Please note, if you wish to provide rebuttal comments, this is a 5-minute total time for each, for those in favor and those against. So please make your comments succinctly without repeating remarks of previous speakers to ensure that everyone wishing to provide comments has an opportunity to do so. After the rebuttal period, or after everyone wishing to speak has spoken, I will then close the hearing and move to comment and action. So, as we just heard from those in opposition, we will start with those in favor of the project and the opportunity to provide rebuttal comments. So please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and Madam Clerk, please start the clock at the beginning of the first speaker.
Good evening, Chairman Cater.
Thank you.
Members of the commission. My name is Adrian Peters. I'm with LGI Homes. And we're very happy to be here in Bakersfield. This is our 3rd project that we've gotten underway in town, and we're really excited. We've pulled our first 12 building permits on the site. As you can see from looking at the graphic that's on the screen, the site's been completely graded, and most of the infrastructure is already in the ground. We purchased the site in 2021, and coming out of COVID and all the years leading up to that,
not much has been done. But we've been diligently out there working. I was out there today. There's work being done out there every day, and we're hoping to open this project here in the next couple of months after we complete our first phase of homes. So the site, if we were to get denied tonight, I think the site would remain dormant in a graded 90% completed condition, which would be obviously economically problematic for us and an eyesore to the city and the neighborhood. Our preference, obviously, is to seek your approval this evening so that we can continue to march forward. We have a very renowned track record of absorptions where we build and sell homes really quickly. And we're not going to be out here for 10, 12, or 15 years like some other builders might be. We intend to move through this project within the next few years. And so this 3-year time extension will allow us to meter out the recordation of the maps and get our permits pulled in a timely manner. And again, I respectfully ask for your positive consideration this evening. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers wishing to provide rebuttal comments in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing no additional speakers in favor, I will now close the rebuttal period for those in favor and move to provide 5-minute total rebuttal time for those in opposition wishing to provide rebuttal comments. Are there any speakers wishing to provide rebuttal comments in opposition to the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing no speakers wishing to provide rebuttal comments in opposition, at this time, I will now close the public hearing on this item and return it to the Commission for comments and action. Commissioner Coman.
Thank you, Chair Cater. Can I first start by asking a question about the final map? They don't have to have vertical construction to record the map, correct? It's just the site improvements and the lots.
Correct.
In the streets, yeah. So they don't have to actually have houses on it.
Correct.
To record it, okay. So then they can take as long as they need to build out the houses, as long as they record their map by the end of this 2026 deadline we're proposing.
No, there's a timeline by the time the map's recorded and the time that there is construction on site. Once it's recorded, it can't sit dormant for 15, 20 years and build houses.
So that triggers another clock.
That's correct.
So, but my point is, they don't have to have all the houses built by April of 2026.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to address Mr. Robinson's concerns. I think that all the commissioners come through here and have the same issue about the extensions of time. But we've learned over time that that has been a right that the city normally grants to builders. So when they approve a map, you have 3 years to finish it, and we say, well, we're going to grant you up to 6 years more, and that's usually enough time to get through all the processes that it takes to actually start building and doing the work. Unfortunately, the state came, well, I don't say unfortunately, I'll just say that the state came along in the middle of this during the housing collapse in 2008 and afterwards, and then they get granted an extension of time, and then they did it again in 2021, and so that added more time to the process. And I understand your frustration, especially on some of the ones that there's been no activity on. But this is not the case on this particular map. There has been significant work. It may not be visible to the casual observer when they're driving by, but I think that's important to note. And then you asked about the housing, and, you know, we're all very concerned about our RENA numbers, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, that we didn't meet our objectives during the last housing element cycle. And, you know, we're getting ready to start our sixth cycle, and, you know, we need the houses. And so to stop this map at this time, in my opinion, would not serve the public interest. And so I'm going to make a motion to approve the extension of time as recommended by staff. That's the end of my comments. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I'm going to recommend, we have other commissioners that wish to speak, so I'd like to provide commissioners an opportunity to speak, and I will come back to you and let you be the official first motion maker once that time commences. So we have Commissioner Neal.
Okay. All right. So you got my questions tonight to staff only because you're the first of several that we're addressing separately. Normally, these things are on the consent hearing list, but as Commissioner Coleman said, we've had significant concern. I have had significant concern as a commissioner. I've been here for a year with the number of maps that developers are just sitting on in Bakersfield. And some of it is discretionary extensions. Some of it is extensions that were given because of COVID, and some of it was related to the recession. And I work in construction. I'm a construction attorney and real estate attorney. So I know the impact that these things have had on development. But at the very same time, I'm a commissioner and I want to see projects move forward. The fact that you've only pulled 12 of the 352 single-family permits, to me, is concerning. If you've done all that, you mentioned absorption and that you plan to build out over the next several years. You said maybe not 10 to 15, but you didn't say what your absorption rate will be. I mean, how many houses we're actually going to see go up? Absolutely.
Chairman Neal, Adrian Peters, LGI Homes again. Our absorption has traditionally been, over the last 8 years, at least 6 per month in closings. We are anticipating we could be higher than that on this project. So we're imagining that we're going to be selling probably in the neighborhood of 70 to 90 homes a year. So I'm imagining this project, if all goes well, we will be built out in the next 4 plus or minus years. So it won't be 10 or 15, but it'll probably be about 4 years.
Okay. Thank you for answering that question for me. I think that's phenomenal, and I think that's a really good piece of information for our community and for the people interested and that will be watching this to see, and hopefully you can actually achieve that. Hopefully we won't have the looming recession that, you know, everyone keeps talking about will not have an impact on that for you. We do need those numbers. And so you got my questions and comments tonight only because you were the first of several, and we normally just consent to these. But this is an issue that I think we need to take up with City Council. And, I'm appreciative of Edward Robinson for bringing this up, because we've talked about it, but it's never really an issue unless a commissioner brings it up or a community member brings it up, and then we can start a discussion on it. This practice of discretionarily granting 2-3-year extensions of time, I don't know if we want to keep doing that, or if we do keep doing that, if we're really going to meet our housing numbers. There's so many vacant lots that are just sitting, and there's so much that can be done. You said that you got the property in 2021. Had we had less flexible policies on map extensions, maybe the property would have been sold sooner to a company that was in a better financial position to build in whatever economy we were in at the time. And so for me, this is not about your project. Your project seems like it's going to be amazing and move along, but just generally speaking, I think we do, as a commission, need to have a conversation with city council about, on this topic. And I don't know how we do that. Paul, what your recommendation is, besides just bringing it up to our council member, or what? Because this is an issue for us and it's preventing us from meeting our arena numbers.
We can speak online or offline on that topic.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for your comments. I think bringing that back in a workshop format or a kind of that Section 8 would be a great opportunity to talk about that further. Commissioner Bashir Tesh.
I would just like to say that I too have grown tired of seeing the extensions over and over again, but something that I adopted a few meetings back was driving to the site. And I know that sewage is one of the most expensive and tedious things that happens on development. And so going to a site and seeing stuff like that already in helps me to make a decision on this kind of stuff. Seeing it as someone asking for an extension and driving to the property and nothing has happened would also help us to make a decision too. I think that if we just as commissioners will, diligently look at each one of those things and, take the time to go check it out and see what the progress is, and then we can make a pretty educated decision on, as commissioners, as to granting these extensions. That's all.
Thank you. Seeing no additional commissioner comments, I will return back to Commissioner Coleman, who requested to make a motion.
Thank you, Chair Cater. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 5A, the extension of time for vesting tentative map 6873, and all the recommendations of staff.
I second.
Thank you. Commissioner Neal. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Do we need to revote? Oh, Commissioner. Should we roll call? Thank you. That would be fantastic.
Chair Cater,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bashir Tash,
Yes.
Commissioner Biddle,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaur,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal.
Yes.
Motion passes for 5A, B, and C approval.
No, just
Is
for
it just
5A?
5A? Okay. Motion passed 5A. Motion passes.
Thank you. On to the next public hearing. Mr. Johnson, would you or the designated staff member please provide your staff report on item 5B?
Yes, again, Principal Planner Jenny Ng.
Hello, extension of time for vesting tentative track 6880. This track is located on the northwest corner of Gosford and McCutcheon Roads. It is a 3-year extension of time request, and it is to allow additional time to record their final maps. This request represents the last request that this map is eligible for. It consists of 638 single-family residential lots on 152 acres. There is a 10-acre commercial lot at the corner. The residential lots are typically 55 feet wide by 110 feet deep, which is 6,050 square feet in size. The Planning Commission initially approved this tentative map on October 5th, 2006. And again, during the economic turndown and recession, the state legislature automatically extended these maps and all the extensions have been applied. All the extensions eligible have been applied to this map. On November 1st of 2018, the Planning Commission approved the first 3-year extension of time. Staff received no public comments in response to the public hearing notice, and there are no changes to the original conditions, and staff is recommending approval of the extension of time. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Commissioner Cater and Commissioners, my name is Blaine Neptune. I'm with McIntosh and Associates. I'm the civil engineer on the project. This particular track 6880, we have been designing this and under design since October of 2021. This particular track has a condition of approval that requires the approval of the Kern Delta Water Storage District to have the agreement to the final disposition of the canal on the north, the Stein Canal on the north, before the improvement plans could be approved. It's worth noting that when this condition was met, there was actually an approved set of plans that was prepared by Smith Tech and approved by the Water District, the Kern Delta, regarding the final disposition of the canal. The district has since retracted that design and is under a new design for the final disposition of the relocation of the Stein Canal in the north. So we have been processing plans since October of 2021. We recently did a revised phase map to get the first phase away from the canal and got a grading plan approved approximately a month ago. So now the project is going to commence grading, and it is underway. I want to speak a little bit about the timing and maybe answer a question that was asked previously about this track and another one. Once a map is approved and we start design, it takes the engineering portion about 9 to 12 months to get a final set of engineering plans, and that's processing all the plans through the city. Once that's done, it goes to construction. Right now, construction used to take about 9 months. Now it's about 18 months or 24 months. The previous project we talked about, there were several holdups in finishing the project, just with material supplies, labor shortage, and dealing with PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric right now. There's a 24-month lead time on transformers. So all these things need to get done before you can go vertical. You need to have all the improvements in, you need to have it paved, you need to have fire sign off, and you need to have the transformers in order for the houses to go vertical. So it is a very long lead time and construction timeline to get done. But this tract in particular is commencing grading right now, and they are projecting to have this done in about 12 months, and then you will see houses going vertical. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing no additional speakers in favor, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Hello, Edward Robinson, Army veteran and community social worker. I would like to speak in opposition of this extension of time for this track map. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the project? Does any commissioner have any questions for the public or staff on this item? Remember, this is not the time to express opinion, just ask questions. Commissioner Kaur.
I have a question for the staff. Before we give them extension of the time, do we ask for the construction schedule lookup?
Typically, it's provided with the request and justification on why they need the request, but we don't specifically ask for it, no.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioner questions? Seeing none, as we had a speaker in favor and in opposition, we will now move into rebuttal period. As we just heard from those in opposition, I will provide a 5-minute rebuttal period for those in favor of the project. As noted in the previous hearing, please note it is 5-minute total time for all speakers, so please be concise, succinct, and allow everyone who wishing to speak the opportunity to do so. With that, I will open up the podium for speakers in favor of the project to provide rebuttal comments. Are there speakers in favor wishing to provide rebuttal comments? Okay. Seeing no additional audience requests for rebuttal comments, I will move to the opposition and ask if they would like to provide rebuttal comments to anything they've heard during the public hearing. Seeing no speakers in opposition at this time, I will now close the public hearing on this item and return it to the commission for comment and action. Commissioner Coleman.
Yes, thank you. I do want to thank Commissioner Neal for her comments earlier about the extension of time, and I really favor the recommendation. Mr. Chairman Cater mentioned about having some discussion in a workshop format to talk about these extensions of time going forward. Unfortunately, I think that with all the maps that we already have approved, they were approved with the understanding that they would get these 6 years of extension, a 2-3 year time frame. So I'm not certain that we're going to be able to affect current maps that are approved, but we certainly can talk about what should happen in the future. So I look forward to having that workshop discussion. I want to go back to Mr. Robinson because I think Commissioner Neal made it clear that she understands your concerns, and I want you to know I understand them too. I think the important thing to note on these last two is that these are the last extension of time. So they're going to have to record a map by 2026, and they have a lot of work to do. There are some maps that are out there that are on their last extension of time that it's not likely they're going to be able to finish their maps. And so we're probably going to be in the next 18 months starting to have discussions about maps that are going to expire. And so, these people might be starting over again, or they might be back here with hat in hand looking for something more. And those concerns are certainly going to be an issue for us because we're changing our view on these maps and density and all those kind of things. Some of these maps, if they were kicked out, probably wouldn't get approved today. So we need to be careful about that. But for this map, because it is a last request, and I think some of the commissioners have been here for a little while, remember that we had to talk about this canal about 24 months ago. And it was a significant issue that was unavoidable for the developer. And, we got involved in it, and we want to beat our heads against the wall on it too. So I think we empathize with the developer on this particular one. And so that all said, I'm in support of this last extension of time for this particular track. I have no further comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Biddle?
I do thank Edward for coming and giving us the comments on the extensions of time because it is always something that I look at too. But I'm on the other side of this. When it's a private project using private land, their own money, and the red tape that we know goes through for these projects, it makes it a little difficult for me to want to put more restrictions on private developers coming in and wanting to make a difference to our RENA numbers. If it was Stephen Pell's up here saying he needed an extension of time, that's with public funds. That's where we get onto them and we stay keeping these moving. But we really haven't seen a climate and the ability for these developers to be able to build in a timely manner. So I think that we need to find ways to maybe help them. How can we incentivize being able to make these timelines go faster rather than finding more regulations on how long they have to work with their own land?
Thank you, Commissioner Biddle. Seeing no additional speakers, Commissioner Neal.
I just want to provide a response to Commissioner Biddle's comment. trying to find the words. Yes, it's private land and private money, but we share the community. We all have to drive past these empty lots. We all have to see homeless people laying out on the streets. It's the tragedy of the commons. And when you hold real estate and you just sit on it and let it appreciate over time, and everything around you is happening, I feel like it is government's job to set some rules and policies in place that will make sure that the common good, the public, is taken care of. That is a consistent theme in the way that the entire United States of America is run. So I take serious issue with people who have lots of money and lots of land saying, leave us alone, and that it's not government's place to intervene on behalf of the people. That is my job as a commissioner. So I have an issue with that. We have housing numbers to meet. People are coming to our city, buying up land and sitting on land for years and years and years while the property values appreciate over a 20-year period of time. What the property was purchased for 20 years ago versus now, drastic difference, I guarantee you, in the value. And meanwhile, our city is growing by leaps and bounds. The homelessness problem is growing by leaps and bounds, not just in the state, but in our city too. And so, yes, I understand that people with lots of money and lots of land want to be left alone. We're not disturbing their use of the land. We're putting rules on the entitlements that we will grant. So that's an issue for me. We just see differently on that. And how it's addressed moving forward, now that it's a different commission, and the commission has changed over time, a different city council has changed over time, it's ripe for discussion considering today's climate. And a lot of these maps, we've seen these issues on commission several times, where at the time the maps were approved, there weren't certain concerns that now exist in today's climate. And these maps are already approved, so we can't we can't make changes. So when something sits that long, it takes away our ability on behalf of the people to introduce or to suggest or to even think about or have discourse about things that are important for the public. So I have an issue with that viewpoint. I just want to make that clear. I do support getting the map, because extending the map, but I am very strongly in support of opening up a discussion for our city as a city on how we will address this issue going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Commissioner Biddle.
I just want to clarify too. I think we share those same social issues by all means. And I think with the 3 years that we have, it gives us the ability to look at each of these projects on a case-by-case basis. By all means, there are properties within Bakersfield that have sat for a long time, and we can agree on all that. But I don't think that, like this situation right now, we found out that they purchased their land in 2021. So giving them a little bit more time, and this being their last extension, we know they have to get moving on it or they have to sell it. So I think it's more or less looking at a case by case and having these conversations with the public and each other to find a better way. So I hope you know we do share the same issues.
Thank you, Commissioner Biddle. I see no additional commissioner speakers. I do think, and we're looking at a particular tract and a particular project tonight, and I will ask for a motion for that. I would just, there's been a lot of great dialogue about policy and how we do things, and so I would just quickly like to mention to staff, maybe you alluded to an offline conversation, but what could a next step be to a productive conversation that is not about a project, but more about an idea?
No, we can bring forward a workshop. We'll just we can bring forward the number of track maps that we have, the number of track maps that are under extension of time options, I know the comment was made to open up a discussion on these extensions of time. We note that discussion, or I should let me back up. The staff report states on these extensions of time that typically city policy has been to approve extensions of time in 2-3 year periods. City policy is established by city council. So you could speak with your council member to start that conversation. You could start denying extensions of time and send a message to council that way. I mean, there's several options, but planning staff and planning commission typically don't establish city policy.
Great. I do think, so as chair, I think one of the opportunities that exist is to request a workshop. Is that right? So
I said we will bring a workshop
perfect.
back.
Yeah, I think that
It
would-
just won't be substantive on extensions of time. We'll just give you some data. And then if you want to expand upon that with your council member or other council members, that would be your prerogative.
Which, yeah, I think, yeah, data and a more data-driven conversation and a conversation that's not tied to a particular project, I think would be appropriate for this advisory body. So I look forward to that. And then with that, I would ask the commission for a motion on item 5B.
I make a motion.
Commissioner Neal. What is your motion? Is it two?
I make a motion to adopt staff's recommendation and approve the extension of time.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Bashir. And I think we have a third and a fourth as well. I don't know if we need that. But. All right, commissioners, please cast your votes.
Who made the second?
I did.
Oh, Commissioner Bashir Tash.
Thank you.
Followed very closely by Commissioner Coleman and Commissioner Biddle.
Did it work? Yeah.
Motion 5B passes.
Thank you. We're now, before we begin the public hearing on item 5C, I've mentioned it awkwardly 4 times tonight, but it is now is the time to note that Commissioner Lomas has a conflict on item 5C and will not be participating in the hearing. This time I would ask Commissioner Lomas to please
Exit stage.
leave, exit, Please do not stay seated, yes. Thank you. And with that, Mr. Johnson, would you please provide the staff report on item 5C?
And again, I would ask Principal Planner Jenny Ng to present this project, and I appreciate all her work on these extensions of time.
Good evening. Extension of time for vesting tentative parcel map 11989 is located at the northwest corner of Old Farm Road and Rayner Road. This is a request for a 3-year extension of time to allow recordation of final maps, and no phase of this parcel map has recorded. This is also the last request for an extension of time. This parcel map consists of 3 parcels on a total of 26 acres. 2 parcels are for church purposes, and 1 parcel is zoned estate residential for a future single-family residential subdivision. October 20th, 2011, the Planning Commission originally approved this project. And then during the economic turndown, the state legislature applied some automatic extensions of time to this map. On December 6th of 2018, the Planning Commission approved the first 3-year extension. Staff has received no public comments, and staff is recommending approval for the extension of time with no changes to the original conditions of approval. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Hi, Commissioner Cater and Commissioners. My name is Blaine Neptune with McIntosh and Associates. We represent this parcel map. This parcel map is owned by, it includes St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church, and the intent of the map is just to create 3 parcels, including a parcel that does have a vesting tentative tract map over it that has like 12,000 square foot lots. To date, there is no current design or development planned for that tentative map, but we are asking for an extension of time to continue on with this. Thank you.
there any other speakers in favor in the audience? Seeing none, are there any audience members wishing to speak in opposition to the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Hello, I'm Edward Robinson, Army vet and community social worker. I would like to speak in opposition to this extension of time for this track map. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have any questions for the public or staff on this item? Please remember, this is not the time to express any opinions on the matter, only to ask questions. First, we have Commissioner Coman.
Thank you, Chair Cater. So that, Mr. Robinson left, so I think that brings up the question. You've heard us talking about it here, so what's been done on this in the last, through all the other extensions of time?
Commissioner Coman, yeah, so it basically it's sitting there waiting for an opportunity for a home builder developer to develop it. There's not been a need right now in that area, as far as I know, to move forward with the subdivision.
So this is the parcel that we had to talk about. It was originally designed that there was going to be a through road, and then we had changed it because now it's a cul-de-sac, and we had homeowners in here objecting to the plan. What did we ever do with that cul-de-sac? That was not a cul-de-sac. There's no house at the end of the cul-de-sac. So.
Right. I believe there's a pedestrian access easement for the tentative map that connects the two.
Okay. So those are connectable for a future developer.
That's correct.
All right. Okay. And so, getting to Mr. Johnson again, this is an example of a map with no activities occurred in the life of it. And so, where does that, what happens if we say no?
Then the map expires on the effective date, and they would have to reapply for a new map.
Or they can appeal to city council for.
My apologies. Yes, they can appeal your decision.
Right.
Your decision's always appealable to city council.
Okay. And this is the last extension of time?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Coman. Next, we have Commissioner Neal.
No comments. Yeah, he asked my questions.
Thank you. Seeing no additional comments, yes, we had speakers in favor and opposition. We'll now move into a period of rebuttal. As mentioned in our previous two public hearings, 5-minute total time for all rebuttal comments, and I will begin with those in favor of the item. Seeing members of the audience in favor of the project foregoing rebuttal comments, I will now open up the opportunity for those in opposition to the project to provide rebuttal comments. Seeing those also foregone, is that? At this time, I will now close the public hearing on this item and return it to the commission for comments and action. Are there any, Commissioner Neal?
Well, seems to me that this is a case in point of what I just described, of people with lots of money holding land and not doing anything with it and waiting for the highest offer when our city is suffering from homelessness and lack of low to moderate income housing or just enough housing at all. So in response to Director Paul Johnson, I will have a conversation with my council member, and the next time one of these comes up, I may not be in support. But for the sake of this developer and making sure that a council member agrees with my position, I'm going to support the project.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes, Commissioner Neal, thank you for your comment on that. I'm of similar mind. This is a project that's already been approved. They were approved with some understanding that they would get these. But I have the same concerns that Commissioner Neal does. I'm not ready to, to deny a project and send it back to council for review. But I think it's incumbent upon the commissioners to have discussion with the individual council people and, think about what's going on. And I look forward to your briefing at the workshop when you talk about how many maps are out there. And that might give us a little bit more ammunition to go back to council and say, this is that. But I think that it may become important for us to look at these a little bit more thoroughly in the future to see if any work is actually happening on these. And, you and I have had discussions with some of these maps that are out there that we've approved recently, that where no activity has occurred, and we're likely to get those maps back soon. And I kind of alluded to that earlier. So the risk of rambling, I will end my comments. So I have no further comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. And we currently have no additional commissioners requesting to speak. So with that, I will ask if a commissioner would make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a
Commissioner
motion.
Coleman.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I nodded.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Okay.
You know me, I just ramble talking, I'll make a motion to approve item 5C, extension of time for vesting tentative parcel map 11989 and all staff recommendations.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Core. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Do I have to hit her? Oh, it was Commissioner Coleman. I think she can over. All right. That was a drill. This is the real.
Motion 5C passes with, where's my notes? With Commissioner Lomas recusing herself from 5C.
All right. Well, we will now welcome Commissioner Lomas back with open arms and move on to item 5E. We all have to vote. Is that? Did you just abstain? Yeah, that's the way. No, you can't abstain. Cancel vote. There you go. Now do 4. Thank you. Would you please provide your staff report on item 5E?
Yes, thank you. I would ask that our Associate Planner 2, Luis Ramirez, present this project.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Luis Ramirez. I am an Associate Planner with the City of Bakersfield's Development Service Department Planning Division. Agenda 5E. Agenda 5E. Is it better?
Yes, thank you.
Is Plan Development Review Number 22-0139, also known as City View Project. The applicant is the Housing Authority of the County of Kern. The project site is a 4.17 acre through lot parcel which fronts Bernard Street and Pico Avenue, approximately 1/4 mile west of Oswald Street, and is addressed as 3403 Bernard Street. On May 21st, 2008, City Council approved zone change number 07-1977 to change the zone classification on the property to R3 PUD multifamily dwelling planned unit development zone with the adoption of a mitigated negative declaration. The general plan land use designation for the property is high density residential. The project before you tonight Plan Development Review Number 220139 was submitted to permit development of a 37-unit housing complex comprised of detached single-family townhomes. Each 1,351 square foot dwelling unit will consist of 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and an attached 2-car garage. Dwelling units will be alley loaded with garage access from the alley at the back of each dwelling. The project complies with City of Bakersfield's landscape requirements, which include over 80 trees along the boundary of the project site and the landscaping along the frontage of each dwelling unit. 3 architectural styles of new townhomes are proposed: traditional, mid-century modern, and craftsman. The homes will be available for purchase by low and moderate income households. One deviation was requested as it relates to distance between dwelling units. The municipal code requires a 10-foot separation between dwelling units, and the applicant is requesting 8 feet because a retention basin and slopes which constrain the area that can be developed. No comment letters were received. However, an information request pertaining to the addressing and project description was responded to by staff. As previously mentioned, zone change number 07-1977 was approved on May 21st, 2008, and the adopted environmental clearance was in the form of a mitigated negative declaration and would not have a significant effect on the environment. For the proposed project, an addendum to the mitigated negative declaration was prepared. All public noticing requirements were followed. Staff recommends your commission approve the resolution adopting the plan development review number 22-0139. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing no requested speakers in favor, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the project? If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Ms. King, as there are no speakers in favor or opposition, do you recommend that we...
You can skip the rebuttal.
Rebuttal, and should we just ask questions during the hearing, or should we ask questions now? Before?
Actually, you should ask the questions to
So
the
there's a
public
dialogue.
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Then does any commissioner, thank you, does any commissioner have any questions for the public or staff on this item? Remember, this is not the time to give opinions, just ask questions. Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Chair Cater. Is this the property that was formerly the Seventh-day Adventist Academy? This is the second phase of that. I think you built some veterans things before. Is that what you built? Okay. The question I had was on the sides that face each other on these homes. You're going to take the setback from 10 feet separation down to 8. Are there windows and doors facing each other, or is it going to create a invasion of privacy thing, or does anybody know?
I would have to ask that the applicant speak on the side of what's facing each building. I would note, though, because of the reduced setback, that it doesn't need to meet special fire rated walls and such.
Okay.
Honorable Chairman and Commissioners, there are no doors that face each other on the side. So one side of one of the units will have no windows. The other side will have windows. So you don't have windows that are looking directly at.
You won't be looking into each other's windows.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
That makes sense.
That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions, Mr. Carey.
Thank you. I guess mine can be a question, because it's really a clarification for staff and the applicant that was made in preparation for the meeting, but I think it'd be good to have it during the. So I was hoping the applicant might and staff might present the pedestrian circulation path for within the project. Because the site plan that we're showing, that we were presented, doesn't appear to have any pedestrian connection except for vehicular roads. And just wanted to clarify if that was the intent, or if there would be an accessible path through the project for residents.
Well, I know what you see between the rows of housing are private drive aisles. And city development standards, since these are private, do not require sidewalks along these aisles. However, since this is a public funded project, it's subject to other requirements such as the Fair Housing Act, Building Code Chapter 11B, U.S. Access Board, which does require accessible path of travel between facilities and right-of-way. We do have an email previously sent from the applicant noting that on the middle one and the east row that there will be sidewalks installed on those. Although it's not shown right now, the only sidewalk you see in front of the buildings is on the western row. So the site plan will be revised to show connecting sidewalks, and again, that will also connect out to the public road right away on Pico and Bernard.
Thank you. That was my question. And Commissioner Coleman?
Thank you, Chair Cater. I did have one more question. I even circled it and I didn't bother to answer it. Since these are going to be for sale units, is there going to be a homeowners association, or how is that going to be managed?
Honorable Chairman and Commissioners, so we've already reached out to homeowners association management agents and have one that we're working with that will set up all the HOA rules and manage the HOA for the residents.
One of I'm venturing on an opinion. So my question is, do you know how much the homeowners association fees are going to be for the homeowners at this time? Maybe early.
Yeah, we haven't settled on that yet. I think it is part of our calculation, though, when we figure whether the units are affordable to the targeted households, is not only their mortgage, but the HOA dues.
So those are calculated into the whether it's affordable housing or not formula.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So we have basically two price points, one for households that are at 80% of AMI or less, and then one for 120% or less. And then we have some down payment assistance programs we're coordinating with that.
All right, so with the HOA, we're going to be assured that those driveways and those back sides of those units are maintained. And because, you know, we all go through some of those projects that were done in the 80s, and you go through some of those alleys, and they're pretty harrowing. So
that's correct, yeah. We decided the HOA would be the best thing for this, just to make sure that you have a nice, maintained common areas, and it's cleaned up, everything you'd expect from an HOA. So.
You think there's enough units there to make the HOA attainable? Or
we do, and so does the management agent that we've been working with.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. No further questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Neal? Questions? Commissioner Coleman danced that line a little bit, so we'll...
What do you know would be the price point for purchase?
So they're the 80% AMI is in the low 200s, and so for a comparable product, they're about 50 to 75,000 less than what you can find similar new construction, but that doesn't count the layering in of the down payment assistance. So we basically take the price point and then take what down payment assistance is available, and then calculate to make sure the household qualifies and can afford the payment based on roughly 30% of their gross income.
And what are the qualifications for the applicants?
It's just based on income. So they have to qualify under those 80% or 120% of AMI, and then, of course, qualify with a lender. Mm-hmm. We are working and developing a relationship with a preferred lender that can coordinate all the down payment assistance programs as well. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no additional commissioner questions this time, I will now close the public hearing and return it to the commission for comment and action. Commissioner Coleman.
This is exactly the kind of project we've been looking for. We see a lot of projects come in here that are for low or moderate income, but they're apartments, they're rentals. And this is a chance for individuals to purchase homes. So, it's probably not the ideal thing, but it's certainly a very good start. And for us to give up 2 feet between each house, I think, to make this work is totally reasonable. I wanted to also comment that I always appreciate the Housing Authority of Kern. They've won many awards for some of their projects. And so, and the last one was the project right next to this, which was not predominantly, but it kind of was geared towards veterans, if I remember, and other low-income community members. So thank you for those. And so I support this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Biddle.
Just to mirror what Larry said, I'm so excited to see projects like this come about, especially in Ward 3. The missing middle ground housing is what we really need. I live in a duplex that's less than 900 square feet, and I wouldn't change a thing. I love the size of my home, and it would be nice to see more townhomes available for single women like myself to be able to purchase and start a family.
Thank you. Commissioner Neal.
Just want to say ditto. This makes me smile. I say this all the time, but I believe that every single person that lives in the city of Bakersfield that works a full-time job should be able to afford the home that their family sleeps in the city of Bakersfield. So this is super exciting for me. I know you guys have lots of property, the county, and I hope we get more and more and more and more of these in the city of Bakersfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. I wanted to say, I think actually the project adjacent was, when I was new to the commission, was my introduction to the Housing Authority of Kern. And remembering what was being proposed in that project and now seeing it come to fruition and be a success, and then to not just operate successfully, but then to layer on a new opportunity for affordable housing and home ownership in a new housing type. I think we talk a lot about how we can offer housing diversity, how apartments can coexist with single-family homes. They can be located near services. And I think I just really applaud the Housing Authority of Kern for showing an example and helping lead that dialogue in our community. And I would just say my only comment with the sidewalks was just to clarify pedestrian circulation. I'm very glad to hear that sidewalks will be provided in that fire access road. What was it? Oh, and because connectivity and options for all mobility is very important, and I'm glad to hear that's being considered and amended. And just wanted to have that on the record for tonight's conversation. So with that, I will defer to the commission for a motion on this item, unless there are any additional comments.
I would like to make a motion to adopt staff's recommendation on approval.
All right. Commissioner Bashir-Tash, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Commissioner Coleman. Commissioners, please cast your votes.
Motion 5E passes.
Great. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 7, new business.
Mr. Johnson, would you please provide us with the new business items?
Yes, in this case, I would like to ask the Public Works Department, Navdeep Graywal, to come forward, present on the capital improvement program. Can we get the other slideshow, please?
Mr. Johnson, I was going to ask, given the document was quite lengthy, the estimated time of the presentation, and if we should take a 5-minute recess to provide quality of life for all participants. Yeah. Does that? Okay.
I don't think he was going to read it in its entirety, but that's fine. We can take a 5-minute recess.
I don't want us to not be fully engaged, so let's take a 5-minute recess and reconvene at 5:57. My apologies for the fake out of having you come to the podium. Okay, thank you. Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Chairman Cater and fellow members of the Planning Commission. My name is Navdeep Graywal. I'm the Design Engineering Manager in Public Works, responsible for overseeing the capital improvement program. And I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the city's 23-24 CIP budget presentation. So just a little quick disclaimer, I'm going to run through all the city departments, basically every city department that has a CIP for fiscal year 23-24. In Public Works, I'll go into a little bit more detail, but all the other departments, I'll kind of breeze over their projects. It's not all the projects, but some of the main projects. So we have Recreation Parks, Technology Services, Police Department, Water Resources, Economic Development, Convention Center, Development Services, Fire Department, and of course the best one, Public Works. All right, so going over some of the other departments, Recreation and Parks, they have a couple of PSVS funded projects. Some of them are park amenities and renovations, monument restoration, improving a couple of courts at Wilson Park and Seaman Park, and playground improvements at Parker Riverwalk, Westwell, and Centennial Park. And Technology Services, they're adding security systems to solar canopies and park security, and also they're remodeling the City Hall South for their department. So the Police Department has a EVOC facility, which is an emergency vehicle operator course, and miscellaneous improvements to the animal care facility. Water Resources has their annual projects, the River Channel Weir reconstruction, wellhead facilities upgrades, and their annual service connection replacement program. And Economic Development has affordable housing, which is funded by PSVS, and Downtown Redevelopment Fund. And the Arena has a couple of projects. Development Services has a Rapid Response Team river facility, and Fire Department's replacing AC units at several fire stations, including Fire Station 1, 9, and 11. Now, moving on over to Public Works, I just want to give you a little background. This picture is a photo of Sports Village Phase 4 while it's under construction. This is probably from early winter 2023. The project's advanced much further, and we anticipate that it will be finished in summer of 2023. Moving on, we have our annual ADA transitional plan, which basically updates ADA facilities throughout the city of Bakersfield and city buildings and facilities. We're going to be investing more into the multimodal transportation improvements, and we have our pedestrian improvements / complete streets. We have one on MLK Boulevard, Niles, and Monterey. Those are both going to be in design next year. And then we have crosswalk painting improvements and traffic calming allocation for construction. Moving on, we have our traditional street improvements, widenings. These are widening roadways to add capacity. We have Panama Lane between Monitor and Union. That one is in the right-of-way phase right now, but we anticipate construction being funded after July 1st and it going into construction maybe in spring 2024. We have widening on Mount Ridge Drive from McCutcheon Road to Berkshire by Miller Elementary. Widening on Ash Road from McKee Road to Berkshire. Stein Road at McKee Road near Ridgeview High, and McKee Road at Weibel Road. And street improvements at Great Crossings, that's just our road widening, taking a roadway from 2 lanes to a 6-lane arterial at a railroad crossing. And moving on, these are our complete streets projects, more like they're gateway beautifications. We have one on 18th and 19th Street. The larger project is going from F Street to the Mill Creek Canal, but we're going to break it up into phases. The first phase is from L to O. We're in design right now. Construction funding will be in 23, 24, and then the same thing with Chester Avenue. It's another corridor project. We're about 90% done with design. We've applied for a grant fund through the federal government for a RAISE grant. We should hear about that at the end of June, but we anticipate advertising that for construction bids in the summer. If we get the RAISE grant, we have to go through the federal process, and it'll probably go out to advertise in January 2024. But if it's local funds, we'll advertise it much sooner. And this is a photo of ADA ramps, pedestrian accessibilities. We get CDBG funding every year, and our streets division takes care of those curb, gutter, sidewalk projects. We'll be doing some in Alta Vista area, Benton area, Oleander, and in East Truxton area. And obviously the city streets division, their annual pavement maintenance program. And our traditional pavement rehabilitation, which is on our arterial roadways, we have 3 projects next year. One on Panama Lane from Gosford to Stein Road. It's predominantly federally funded, but the local matches SB1 funds. And if you're aware, SB1 was the transportation bill that was passed several years ago. It raises gas tax, so that's what that matches. And then we have one on Buena Vista Road from White Lane to Stockdale, and Union Avenue from State Route 204 to Columbus. And then we have one bridge improvement on Beale Avenue at the UPR overcrossing. And street light improvements, we have our street light study that we've been working on for a few years. We're just going to be moving up. We've completed a couple of phases. This is just a continuation of the next phases, addressing street lighting in areas where there's inadequate lighting, high accident rates, pedestrian, bicycle, or high crime areas. We'll be adding street lights in those areas. Then we have a specific street lighting, which is CDBG funded in the Holtby area and the Sunset area. We have a couple of median projects. One specifically is a federal funded one on Jewetta, Panama, Hosking, and Camino Media. And then locally funded median improvements on Weibel between McKee and Hosking, and Ash between Ming and Stockdale. And then traffic signals and flashing beacons. We have one traffic signal at Berkshire and Mount Ridge. I mentioned earlier we had a widening on Mount Ridge. This is going to be a combination with that. Will be a widening / traffic signal at the intersection right there where Mill Elementary is. And we have 2 flashing beacons at Norris Elementary and Stern Elementary, and then a traffic signal battery backup system. In case you guys wonder what that is, it's when electricity goes out, signals sometimes go dark. We're trying to add battery backup systems to some of these high, traveled intersections, so they run, so we know, which direction to turn. And then we have a landscaping revegetation project. A few years ago, we started the reconstruction on Manor Street Bridge. We widened it and seismic retrofitted it. Well, while we're doing that bridge, we altered the landscaping within the river. So this requires us to go back and plant within the river. So now moving on to sewer improvements. We're keeping up with our infrastructure. We have a couple of lift stations we're going to do. One at the Eucalyptus, another one at Ming and Grand Lakes, and then Romero and Boca del Rio. And then sewer line improvements. A few years ago, we did a downtown master sewer study, and these are just some of the recommendations that sewer study indicated that we need to make improvements. And then we have storm drain improvements. Again, same thing, storm drain improvements at miscellaneous locations. That will be just based on priority referrals, addressing those areas where there's siphons, broken cross gutters. We're going to address those. And the next one, storm drain improvements in downtown. That is specifically for the downtown storm drain master study that we completed a few years ago. And obviously, ongoing program to rehabilitate city sewer and storm drain facilities. That's just taking care of safety, maintenance, day-to-day upkeep of our sewer infrastructure. Wastewater treatment plant, we have 2 of them. We have miscellaneous improvements at both of them, but specifically plant 2, we're upgrading the bar screen. And plant 3, there's a booster blower upgrade. Moving on to more facilities, the municipal airport, we have miscellaneous repairs. And then an airport AWAS system, which I believe is an advanced weather observing system. And then at Green Waste facility, our materials recycling facility, upgrades to that. And miscellaneous upgrades and pavement repairs at the facility. The facility takes a beating, so we got to keep up with it and do the upkeep. And the miscellaneous improvements at city facilities, buildings, we have our City Hall South Annex building. We're doing a restoration, so we're going to start our feasibility and design on that. There's Amtrak security enhancements. expansion of the animal care facility, replacement of AC units at City Hall South, Amtrak Station, and the Courtyard, and upgrading the elevator improvements at the 18th I Street garage and the exit gate at Courtyard. And lastly, Mesa Marin Sports Complex. We bid this project last fall. Unfortunately, the bids came in higher than our budget, so we're going to get additional funds starting July 1st. That should make the budget whole, and we're planning on rebidding that project in July, August of 2023. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll take them.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any commissioner questions, comments, thoughts? Commissioner Coleman. Good.
I'm sorry, can you say your name again, please?
Navdeep Graywal.
Right,
say Nav, it's easier.
I'm sorry?
You can say Nav, it's
okay,
easier.
thank you, Nav.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I didn't see anything about any landscape improvements along Highway 99 running through Bakersfield, basically from, well, running through Bakersfield. Is there any plans to do any landscape improvements there?
Yeah, we do. There's, want to come up and answer that? So, I mean, there's existing funding that is going to improve that, but what we covered specifically was any new funding for fiscal year 23-24. So there could have been funding from 21-22 or 22-23 we just haven't gotten to, but this is specifically new funding.
Okay.
Greg Strackles, Public Works Director. Yes, there are several ongoing designs to make improvements. A construction project is currently underway in coordination with Caltrans at Hoskins and 99, but our designs are focused in on the 99 and 58 corridors in the West Side Parkway. We're bidding out the West Side Parkway, I'll call it beautification improvements, because it's not just landscaping, but it's hardscaping as well. And also we're at about the 30% design level for those beautification improvements at the interchange of 58 and 99.
And how far does that go down 99 either direction? Will it go to Ming or go to Panama? How far will it go?
Yeah, not as far as we would like it. So I'll say probably 2,500 feet north and south of the actual interchange, quarter of a mile maybe.
Okay, so that any other improvements would require some city council action, or how would that get done?
Right. To extend or expand the beautification improvements, that's correct. It would have to come from city council to do that. Other components of beautification include signage, though. We're also looking at the gateway entry signs for the city of Bakersfield at the city limits. We're working on those components on both north and south 99 and east and west on the 58. I think there are also some artistic components for integrating things like stone sculptures within the 58-99 interchange area. So a lot of interesting concepts coming out of the beautification design.
Okay, so while you're here, so I didn't see you sitting in the back. So, who oversees the road projects? But I'll skip right to it. I'm very concerned about work on arterial roads like Panama, Ming Avenue, White Lane, and who like reviews the projects to make sure that you're not tearing up 2 or 3 of them at a time, so there's regular traffic flow, because those are crosstown roads that we need to have, access for. And then, I'm looking at, I drive by a project right now at Panama and Old River where the developer just closed parts of Panama. And I'm like, who's overseeing that? Who's saying, hey, is anybody submitting a plan to you? This is my road closure plan, and is anybody reviewing that?
Absolutely. So from 2 perspectives. One is the coordination of city CIP projects is done with the Public Works team. So we're talking all the time about making sure that we're not going to be hindering traffic on one corridor when we're building another. So that's one component. The other component is when a developer or an outside contractor is working on the road, whether it's a utility company, a gated community developer. So we do oversee the permitting. We issue street permits for work within our rights-of-way. So within the subdivision section, we're looking at individual permit applications for work in the right-of-way, keeping in mind some of the other things that are going on. Sometimes it's a little difficult to understand the duration of the work for a utility project versus a street widening project that a developer is doing, but we try to manage that as best we can in subdivisions.
And, and then this is my last question, I swear. Road repairs. That was a significant discussion at the Measure N meetings about, there was a lot of money dedicated to traffic calming and not so much dedicated to fixing some of the roads that we have here in town. Can you talk a little bit about what efforts are being made to make improvements to the streets that we drive on?
Sure. Well, I think in the projects that were presented in the CIP list, one of the projects was the street resurfacing and repair CIP item. That item has increased by about $1.3 million to help cover the cost of additional repairs to streets. We are getting a lot of users of the application letting us know where potholes are and where street issues are. I'm using it myself. And so our streets department, or division rather, is working to address those easy pothole fixes, and Navdeep and Paul are working on some of the more tougher fixes.
Okay, thank you very much for the report. I appreciate it. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Before you sit down, I had a couple questions. It's actually very timely right after Commissioner Coleman's comment, because I was very excited to see neighborhood traffic calming in the budget. I think we have the dubious distinction of being top 10 deadliest cities for pedestrians in the entire country, not in the state, in the entire country. And to me, it's a very hard look at ourselves and an acknowledgement that we need to actually be active in getting off that list. And so I was curious, it wasn't in the overview presentation, so what programs, what that looks like, what are the tangible outcomes? I appreciated the renderings of 18th Street and this idea of pedestrian connectivity in the core, but the neighborhood street calming, could you just briefly describe that program and how it might manifest itself in our neighborhoods?
Absolutely. I'll touch upon one and then ask Susanna to touch upon the other. The first one I want to touch upon is the work that we're doing to resurface streets, right? So some of the calming efforts we're doing are happening as a result of resurfacing when we're restriping things a lot differently, making lanes narrower to calm the traffic a little bit, bringing some more organization to the entire width of some of these arterial roads, coming down from a 22-foot lane to an 11-foot lane. We're doing things like that immediately. We're also doing enhanced crosswalks and different types of markings in signage, radar feedback signs, which are those flashing signs that tell you you're going over the speed limit, so you tend to slow down. Rapid rectangular flashing beacons. We're doing a lot of things to integrate technology, but we also have this neighborhood traffic calming program that was just adopted by council. And I know Susanna has been prepared to talk about that, and I'll like to turn it over to her for that. I'll help if you need.
So I wasn't totally prepared. I was just like, no, we have this. So we have this new neighborhood traffic calming document online and under traffic engineering. So you can go look at it and read it. And it tells you the process of how to report a request for a traffic calming. And it gives you a toolbox for us, I guess, to choose what's most appropriate for the issues that people are seeing. So this is, as Greg mentioned, that it's a new thing. So this was just approved in February, and it's on our online now. So if you go to it, you can learn all about it. Do you have any?
And it's kind of a informed decision-making process. So it takes individuals in the community to really advocate for their streets. Is that the idea of the program?
Yes, the project initiation is from individuals or businesses that would like to see traffic calming.
And if I could add to that, there is a long list of folks who had come in requesting traffic calming and didn't get the results that this new program might provide. So we're going back to that list and we're identifying those areas where we collected data and we saw speeds that were about 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. And we're going back to those areas, applying the traffic calming manual. And there were 2 tiers. There's the tier 1 items, which are quick, easy fixes with signs, enforcement, markings. But there are tier 2 considerations that might be required and those could be speed humps, speed tables, chicanes, roundabouts, all kinds of options that fall out of that category.
Thank you. I think it's very exciting to see tangible action and not just kind of a head in the sand. How do we get out of this situation? So thank you for describing that. And we have a request to speak from Commissioner Kaur.
I just have a question on that program. Is that like an online portal where citizens go online and then they request the intersections, or they have to put a hard copy request?
They could do it many ways, I guess. There is a request form they can fill out, but they can call. I think everything's listed that they can call, email, anything. So it's an easy way for them to request it, and then it comes to us.
Fantastic. Are there any other commissioner comments or questions? If not, I'll just enthusiastically say on behalf of the commission, yours is one of my favorite presentations every year. It's always exciting to see how our city continues to grow and how we continue to do things better and look to the future. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
With that, I will move on to item 7B on a meeting that has extended much longer than I had planned for. But
Chair Cater.
Yes.
Chair Cater, we need to adopt the resolution.
Oh, we need to adopt, not just a receive. Oh, I'm sorry. Not used to such formal.
I would make a motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Bashir Tash.
I would second that.
Commissioner Coleman. Commissioners, please cast your votes. What if we rejected it? Yes, I figured.
Motion passes.
Fantastic. Next item of business, please.
It is item 7B, which is selection of the chair, vice chair for the May 2023 to April 2024 term, to be determined by your commission.
All right. Commissioner Lummis has pulled a Commissioner Coleman, let's say, and his first request to speak. So, Commissioner Coleman. Yes.
Me. I would like to nominate Commissioner Bashir Tash for chair, because that's what we're doing right now, right? Chair.
Yes.
We're doing chair.
It's been a while since we've done it. Chair first, then vice chair?
It's actually
Chair
in your
first.
script. So,
Oh,
yes, you first do the chair.
Aye.
And
Please do not nominate me for another year. I failed at my duties. Yeah.
It's okay,
did
it wasn't my
fine.
first rodeo, so.
Please seat me as
I
far
would
away
like
from
to,
the. Yeah.
nominate Commissioner Bashir Tash.
Oh, should I read the formal script to make it official, or is this
I mean,
informality stressing?
I think we get it.
yeah, I think at this point you could just ask Commissioner Bashir Tash if he accepts the nomination.
Commissioner Bashir Tash, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
And
Okay.
just-
Are there any other nominations?
Yeah, just for variety, I would like to nominate Chair Cater for another term.
All right. Are there any other nominations?
And do you accept the nomination?
I accept. I didn't want to be contrarian. But yeah, I would say I have enjoyed my time here. I've really love this commission. I love the opportunity that is presented to us as an advisory board. That being said, I would be inclined to extend that opportunity to somebody else on the commission as an opportunity to have the experience to have their voice heard in a different way on this dais. And so I would very much appreciate Commissioner Coleman's nomination, but would withdraw being considered as chair for this upcoming cycle. But I would also note that nominations are still open, and who doesn't love a contentious election? So please, everyone, nominate away. Yeah. Just Commissioner Lomas. All right.
So since we only have one motion on the table, then you would now request a motion for.
All right. May I get a motion to officially nominate Commissioner Bashir Tash for the upcoming chair position for the 2023 to 2024 term?
Do I abstain from this vote?
Does he have to
You can
leave?
vote for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of important.
Can you make the motion for yourself? I feel like that would be the thing to do. Yes.
So, yeah, the person who nominated him can make the motion.
Oh.
And I would make that motion.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Noma. Do we need a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Commissioner Core. Do we need to vote? I believe we. How formal is this?
Chair Cater,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bashir Tash,
Yes.
Commissioner Biddle,
Yes.
Commissioner Core,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lomas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Neal.
Yes.
Again? I thought that was from before. Commissioner.
No, keep going.
My time here is done. Yeah. All right, Commissioner Lomas, a second request to speak.
Well, I could wait for you to open nominations for vice chair.
And now is the time to open nominations for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Cater.
And do you accept that nomination?
I will accept nomination for vice chair, but also enthusiastically welcome other considerations for vice chair for the upcoming year. Seeing none,
I would like to make that motion, please.
all right, Commissioner
I'll
Lomas.
second that motion.
Commissioner Bashir Tash. Commissioners, please cast your roll call vote. That caught me by surprise.
Chair Cater,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bashir Tash,
Yes.
Commissioner Biddle,
Yes.
Commissioner Core,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal.
Yes.
All right. That wasn't as contentious as I was hoping, but no campaign shirts or anything. Yeah. All right. Campaign swag, nothing. Yep. Just a pleasant conversation. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 8, communications.
Does staff have any communication items?
Yes, thank you. Congratulations to the new chair, vice chair. We will have a meeting June 15th. In between that time, Commissioner Bashir Tash, we would request a special meeting with City Attorney's Office and myself to go over a few of the responsibilities of the chair. And then we'll turn it over to the June 15th meeting where we do have, by design, 6 extensions of time.
And a workshop? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 9, commission comments.
Are there any commissioner comments? Commissioner Biddle.
I do. This Saturday at Jastro Park from 9 to 3 o'clock, the Brundage Lane Navigation Center is going to be having their pickleball and music festival. It's a time to get out and meet the members of Mercy House and who run our City Homeless Center and get to know everybody there. So it's a lot of fun. We had it set for March, but with the weather, we had to push it off till June. But it is going to be 90-degree weather. We're going to have Crimson Sky singing out there, plus Minto Buru. So it'll be a really good afternoon, free to the public. So come out and give us your time. 9 to 3 o'clock. This Saturday, yes. Jastro Park.
Sounds amazing. Thank you, Commissioner Biddle. Commissioner Neal.
I just want to say that I really enjoyed the time with you as chair. That's it.
Thank you, very much appreciated. Just one chair. Yeah, I will also say I've appreciated this last calendar year, as I will to Commissioner Bashir Tesh, I will say sitting in the chair seat is very different than sitting not in the chair seat, and I look forward to forgetting about protocol and just speaking when requested. And but no, it's been an amazing year. I think I look forward to with the new commissioners a very exciting upcoming year. I think a lot of projects. But thank you. It's been an honor to serve this past year, and just to serve on this commission for this will now be my 6th year, and just seeing from when I came in to where we are now, it's just very exciting, and we're at a very pivotal time in how we grow as a community, and it's very much an honor to be a part of that in any capacity. So, thank you. Any other commissioner comments?
I should say something, but I can't really top that.
Well, all right. Well, with that, I will say, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 10, adjournment.
This meeting is adjourned at 7:28. Have a great evening.